I think today was his best showing so far. He really took a big step. Just what you saw today, we saw as well. So that's encouraging. We'll just have to see how it goes.
Get more from the Texans and Ravens, including team shows, press conferences, and locker room interviews right now on the SiriusXM app. Just search Houston Texans or Baltimore Ravens. Meanwhile, Mike Tomlin informing players this afternoon that he plans to return to the Steelers in 2024. Was some speculation about his future entering the final year of his contract. Steelers have finished with a winning record each of the last 4 seasons. In college athletics, Ohio State hiring Ross Bjork as their new athletic director. With SiriusXM Sports, I'm Nick DeLuca.
And Brady has done it again. Fitzgerald, 64 yards.
Tom Brady and Larry Fitzgerald exited the field as legends of the game.
Tom Brady has captured the all-time touchdown passing record. Number 566. I will not catch a 10-5 touchdown. Larry Fitzgerald has done it again.
Now they're...
You find yourself thinking back a little bit upon your journey 22 years ago when you're watching C.J. Stroud as a rookie. I know the circumstances are much different, but just as a young player like that, getting an opportunity and seeing him come to shine in the final 7, 8, 9 games of the season and then in the playoffs.
Yeah, and I think we talked to him earlier this year and realized his maturity and his humility and the kind of kid that he is. So I think he's got obviously playing great football, but beyond that, I love seeing these young athletes who embrace the role and responsibility that they have in their community and doing great things on and off the field. And CJ did that in a big moment in a game, and it was great to see, and I want to see him go do it again.
Flex 2K now. Sirius XM Channel 49 and the Sirius XM app. Included in all trials and popular plans. To hear Flex 2K, activate your radio by calling 844-711-8800 or visit SiriusXM.com/go.
You deserve the best. With the SiriusXM Platinum VIP plan, you can unlock the ultimate listening experience in up to 2 cars and stream anywhere with 2 app logins. Enjoy our greatest content, opportunities for live VIP experiences, and prioritize customer care. Plus, get access to over 5,000 audio and video concert recordings through nugs.net. Call 844-711-8800 and become a VIP. Offer details apply. Not available in Canada.
From Queen.
The Queen thing has been something amazing for all of us, and it's a real privilege to have that.
To a queen of pop.
I'm Olivia Rodrigo.
Hundreds of the biggest names in music are taking over the all-new SiriusXM app with exclusive guest DJs, The Chainsmokers, Peter Frampton, Demi Lovato, Fall Out Boy, and many more. Get closer to everything that moves you wherever you are with new guest DJ sessions. Now in the new SiriusXM app. Diners can enjoy a sandwich named after me, the Web Witch, while I sit down and talk with candidates, voters, and get their thoughts about the New Hampshire primary and beyond.
David Webb, live from the Red Arrow Diner, starting Monday, January 22nd on Sirius XM Patriot 125.
Get this. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's it. You gotta get this. There you go now.
I think I'm recording.
Oh, that's it. You gotta get this. You gotta get this.
If you've been thinking about buying a home, you need to be in the zone, the home buying zone. You need a game plan to win in this great real estate market. The Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage has all your bases covered. Whether you're a first-time home buyer, purchasing your dream home, refinancing, consolidating debt, or even considering a reverse mortgage, contact the Big C team at Equity Zone Mortgage today. They have the lowest closing costs, and they'll close your loan on time, guaranteed, or they'll pay your first mortgage payment. And they even have a 3.5% purchase down payment grant that can get you into a home with little money out of your pocket. It doesn't get more clutch than that, folks. Score big on the biggest purchase of your life. Call Equity Zone Mortgage today at 1-800-772-8624. That's 1-800-772-8624. Or apply online at equityzonemortgage.com and tell them Big C sent you, as heard on the Big C Sports Podcast. That's number 0181486.
Welcome to the show. My name is Charlton of Big C Sports. This is Big C Sports coming to you worldwide on the Big C Sports Network, the number one network in the United States of America. And Big C Sports has been voted the number one sports show in the universe, according to me, and people who love the universe, and that would include you. What a beautiful day in the neighborhood. It's a day after the Martin Luther King holiday. Had marches. I actually had some chicken. Okay, I had some chicken and waffles. Not to be stereotypical, I actually had some collard greens, and they were so good. Give me some praise. Today's show is a little bit different. We had the Republican caucus last night in Iowa, of all places. It was like 5 degrees. It was so cold. It was so cold that you could inculcate outside and it would freeze before it hit the ground, if that makes sense. You get that some praise, all fair level work. But I want to tell you, I love Big C Sports Podcast, 29 podcast platforms, streaming on 4 TV platforms, and we all know that's true. But I want to start today's show with something a little bit different, because at the Republican caucus last night in the beautiful state of Iowa, I think it's in the city of Ames, Iowa. I think it was in Ames, Iowa, but I could be wrong about the city. But I want to play a speech that I thought they were going to talk about, because, of course, they've been talking about it after the MLK holiday. Listen to it and tell me what you think.
At the very same time that America refused to give the Negro any land, through an act of Congress, our government was giving away millions of acres of land in the West and the Midwest, which meant that it was willing to undergird its white peasants from Europe with an economic floor. But not only did they give the land, they built land-grant colleges with government money to teach them how to farm. Not only that, they provided county agents to further their expertise in farming. Not only that, they provided low interest rates in order that they could mechanize their farms. Not only that, today, many of these people are receiving millions of dollars in federal subsidies not to farm, and they are the very people telling the black man that he ought to lift himself by his own bootstraps. And this is what we are faced with, and this is a reality. Now, when we come to Washington in this campaign, we're coming to get our check.
Give that some praise, because you only hear that on Big C Sports Podcast. And I thought that Donald Trump, Ron DeSantis, and Nikki Haley would say, yeah, we going to give you your check. But I was wrong. I want to mention that because with Big C Sports Podcast, I want to keep it real. I don't want to be shucking and jiving. We just had the MLK holiday, and people pay homage to Dr. King, but you would have thought, and again, maybe it's me that's wrong, I would have thought that after the MLK holiday, that's a federal holiday, I thought they would have talked about it to pay homage to Martin Luther King. But I was wrong. You ever been wrong about something? I didn't want to be wrong, but I was. And so I just wanted to bring that up, because with Big C Sports Podcast, you know, I keep it real. I do. People say, Big C, why do you eat collard greens with waffles and some fried chicken wings? And I said because it tastes so good. And some people, you know, they don't mix their food. Now, what kind of fool would mix some waffles and some chickens? And then he got the nerve to put it in the collard greens. I said, that's how I get down. Give getting down that way some praise. I want to also say I bumped into, you can call it serendipity, whatever you want, but I realized after the march, I marched so much yesterday, my feet are kind of sore today, but I was outside of a restaurant called Fixin's. It's in Northern California, and the owner is NBA great Kevin Johnson, former mayor of Sacramento, California. He's the reason that the Sacramento Kings are still in the capital city. There's no statue of him as you walk inside. They say, yeah, but Big C, they put a rabbit. The rabbit didn't keep the Kings in Sacramento. It was Kevin Johnson, Mayor Kevin Johnson, that flew to New York City and told David Stern, if we can build you an arena, will you allow the Kings to stay in Sacramento? And David Stern said yes. And to pay homage to the great mayor of the capital city, they put a rabbit outside of the arena. I kid you not. They put a rat. It doesn't even talk. It doesn't eat pellets. It doesn't have fur. And it costs $10 million. But no sign of the person that helped them stay in the capital city. He did it. And because some good old boys didn't like him, they decided to put up a rabbit that did nothing to keep the Kings in Sacramento. It's just like Dr. King. He had a dream that someday all people would be created equal and treated equal in the eyes of the government. Because we're the only group with 9 series DNA. And Dr. King said, love is the only force capable of transforming an enemy into a friend. And that love transforms with redemptive power. And that's Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Give him some praise. I want to give that praise. It's important to me because I love talking about sports, but also politics are important. I would have thought that Donald Trump and Ron DeSantis and Nikki Haley would have congratulated Dr. Martin Luther King on what he said about coming to get the what's it called? What do you get after you put in 40 hours of work? You get a check. I thought they would have congratulated him on the check, but they said nothing about the check. They said nothing about the check, and I just let you hear the speech that Dr. King made about getting the check, the reparations. Why are our white politicians afraid to talk about Dr. King, saying next time we come to Washington, we come to get our check? Now, they love singing, we shall overcome someday. We shall overcome someday. Excuse me? Where's my check? They don't even talk about it. It's as if it's a speed bump. They slow down to acknowledge the holiday, but they really don't have a heart to say what Dr. King was standing for. And what many people say he gave his life for, well, let me fix that. He did not give his life. His life was taken. That's a difference. It's a difference when your life is taken as opposed to giving it. If that makes sense to you, give that some praise. He gave his life so that people could ignore him when he said, let's go get our check. That's not... You think Dr. King really gave his life so people could act like he didn't even exist? But they don't forget the touchdown. Touchdown! Home run! 3-point play! Oh, man, Willie! He's going all the way. Now, Dr. King was about reparations, just like President Abraham Lincoln was about reparations. Well, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I love giving that praise. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast 24 hours a day, 7 days a week on 29 podcast platforms all over the universe. You can follow Big C Sports on Google, Alexa, Spotify, Speaker Podcast, Apple Podcast, iHeartRadio Podcast, Amazon Podcast, TuneIn Podcast, Good Pods Podcast, Castbox Podcast, Deezer Podcast, Podcast Addict, Podchaser, Podcast Wise. I'm telling you, got to be wise in these days. You can follow Big C Sports Podcast on GeoSavan out of London, England, as well as India and Africa, Podtail, YouTube, Hubhopper, Stitcher Podcast, Radio Line, Repod Podcast, Luminary Podcast, Listen Notes, Podcast Wise, Podbay, Robo Podcast, Podcast Podyssey, Podcast Republic, and one that used to scare me but now it doesn't is allfees.ai. Give that some praise because he said we come in to get our check. And the Republicans had a convention, and not one of them acknowledged what Dr. King said. But you know what they asked for? They asked for your vote, didn't they? They asked for your vote. Mm-hmm. Even in the freezing cold. They said, give us your vote. It's amazing how people can just treat a wonderful man like he was a speed bump. You ever heard a speed bump and you don't see it? Now they put speed bumps in neighborhoods and they paint these white lines diagonally across it so you can see the speed bump is there. And that's how Dr. King was treated at the Republican convention. They didn't even talk about Dr. King. But they want the black vote. They want the black vote, and they think you're so intellectually vapid, you're just going to give it to them. They didn't talk about Dr. King. But Big C Sports does. You can follow Big C Sports streaming OTT on 4 TV platforms all over the universe. Xfinity, Comcast TV, Apple TV, Roku TV, and Amazon Fire TV. I love doing what I also do with Big C Sports Podcast. I'm telling you, I had a great time at a march yesterday But I love paying homage to our Veterans Crisis Hotline. They really are experienced, helping veterans and their loved ones get help. You know, anybody going through issues, pick up the phone, call 800-273-8255. That's 800-273-8255. Or you can text 838-255. That's 838-255. If you're online, simply go to veteranscrisisline.net. That's veteranscrisisline.net. And when you do, you want to give it some praise because we all need somebody to lean on. I know I do, and it's nice when somebody that you're leaning on is leaning back, if that makes sense to you. I also want to say, because it's so important to me, life is a great gift. When you get a gift, you open the gift every day. And Dr. King gave us a gift. But many of our white politicians, they refuse to open it. They want your vote, but they won't say what Dr. King or even Abraham Lincoln talked about, because they want to pretend that it does not exist. It's called the woke society. You know, I'm telling you, over the weekend for the Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. March, there were many politicians that I met. Barbara Lee was one, and she had a shirt that called Stay Woke. Stay Woke. That Governor DeSantis calls the woke society is known Black history. She's United States Senate, Barbara Lee. And she was at the MLK March. POTUS didn't show up. Trump didn't show up. DeSantis didn't show up. Nikki Haley didn't show up. She said she didn't even want to talk about slavery. Someone said, what are your thoughts on slavery? She says, oh, yours must be a plant. But they want the black vote to stand in line and give them your vote. And ironically, even more insidious is they think that the white vote is going to land on their ballot box because they think white people don't care about liberty and justice for all. But those over 170 co-sponsors of H.R. 40 by Representative Sheila Jackson Lee, and also SB 3121, the California Reparations Bill. I'm going to get into it too. I know you want to know who won the game, and that's what they're hoping. Just give those black folks a game to watch, and they won't worry about who's going to vote. Just give them the game. But I want to thank Xfinity, Comcast TV, and Comcast Spotlight Effect TV for presenting Big C Sports to the universe. Just like in Genesis 1:3, where God said, unlike the Republican campaign last night, God said reparations now, reparations forever. That's important. And you can give that some praise. I'm gonna play a few more things that happened during the march, but I want to say this Big C Sports Podcast. Now, I'm one beautiful, intelligent black man. I'm looking for $6 billion. And I told you Big C Sports is going to become a $1 billion corporation, and it's going to happen. I produce the show. Number 2, I direct the topics. Number 3, I broadcast all the shows. Number 4, I do all the sound effects based on the platform provided by the agency. We could all use more laughter in our lives. I know I can. And then the commercials are done. The stats are provided. I do the storytelling. I do the play-by-play. I even do the uploading of the program, the 29 podcast platforms, and on 4 TV platforms streaming all over out of New York City. And I'm in Dimdale Hills, California, if that makes sense to you. I was saying earlier that I met a gentleman that's part of the California Reparations Task Force as we rise and shine every day. And it's important to me because as I saw him getting out of the car, I said, Amos Brown, it's good to see you again. He said, Mr. Curry. I hadn't seen him since the task force back in June. It was at the Secretary of State. I think it was June 29th. But here he is, know my name, and he actually knew Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. You got to give that some praise. When he saw my face, he said, Mr. Curry. Isn't that something? And I was wiping the chicken grease off my lips because I was tearing those collard greens up. I was tearing them up. When it comes to collard greens, you ever see? I'm not gonna say something that I hope is not too offensive, but sometimes we need to be offended, if that makes sense to you. When I got the collard greens and I took them to go, I saw a sign that said, "I love you." At the same time, my collard green, there was the lid on it had a little breathing hole to the top, so it was breathing out into my bag and it was spilling juice all over the bag. Now, I have no shame. You know, I was sucking on the bowl that had the juice pouring out the top. And I did it in front of people. I didn't wait to get to my car. I was sucking on that bowl in front of people. People were looking at me like I had a problem. You know, if you waste collard green juice, you the one with the problem. If that makes sense to you. I was tearing them up! But I really do appreciate Amos Brown for saying, Mr. Curry. And speaking of that, I want to give praise to the California Reparations Task Force, because a mind is a terrible thing to waste. I want to give praise to the chair, Camila Brown. She is brilliant. I love giving her praise. Dr. Amos C. Brown, vice chair, he's brilliant. I love giving him praise. He asked me, I actually showed him a picture that we had taken at the last task force rally at the Secretary of State building, and he said, please text me that picture. So he gave me his cell number, and I texted, and I'm going to give his cell number out on the air, and that is, no, he probably wouldn't appreciate me doing that. If that makes sense to you. But if you're going to vote for reparations, then I may read his cell number on the air, so you can call him and tell him he has your support. I want to thank the California Senator Stephen Bradford, the number one senator of the United States of America. He also sponsored Name, Image, and Likeness. Also, the Ebony Alert Name, Image, and Likeness called NIL helps young black athletes get paid. And then Ebony Alert is helping law enforcement devote the same resources to finding black children as they do to finding white children. Going to be meeting with him soon, and he's also part of the Reparations Task Force. I want to talk about something, too, as I'm talking to, I want my audience to understand, a bill is chaptered by the Secretary of State. A bill becomes law January 1st of the following year unless it contains an urgency clause and it takes effect immediately or specifies its own effective date. And when you deal with the California legislature, that's where Senate Bill 490 is in, that's sponsored by California Senator Stephen Bradford. Although the procedure can become complicated, a chart that they have at the state capitol, it shows the essential steps for the passage of a bill. And the typical committee actions are used to simplify charting the course of legislation. Some bills are required, they require hearings by more than one committee, in which case a committee may re-enter the bill to another committee. For example, bills with monetary implications like reparations must be referred to the proper fiscal committee in each house before they are sent to the second reading file for final action. That's important. If a bill is amended in the opposite house, it is returned to the House of Origin for concurrence and amendments. If the House of Origin does not concur, a conference committee report must then be adopted by each house before the bill can be sent to the governor to sign. And that's where we are with reparations now. Reparations forever. Even though the Republicans didn't talk about it, Big C Sports does. I want to thank Council Member Monica Montgomery Stephanie. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Assembly Member Reginald Jones Sawyer. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. I want to thank Dr. Shell Grills. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Attorney Lisa Holder. She's brilliant. I love giving her praise. I want to thank Dr. Javon Scott Lewis, a professor at California Berkeley. He's brilliant. I love giving him praise. And I want to give praise to the only member of the California Reparations Task Force that actually has received already reparations. His name is Attorney Donald K. Tamaki. Going to be interviewing him soon. And he believes that descendants of chattel slavery should get reparations because as a Japanese American interned in internment camps after World War II, his family's already got reparations. The only ones in the committee that did not get reparations are the black people. You know, descendants of chattel slavery. But I want to give the task force some praise. I want to give it praise. And I also want to play something else from the march. And I'm going to take what's called the time to edit that in, and you'll hear it in just a moment. So yesterday at the California Reparations Task Force, I remember just being a part of it, and I'm going to play some snippets that actually happened as I was out on the march and hearing all the great celebrations. But there was a time when they were filming and they started saying, "What do we want?" As some people were talking about the past, people started chanting as I was saying right by the float, reparations now, reparations forever. The way I do reparations now, reparations forever. I did that, and I want to play some of that coming up. You'll hear it in just a moment. I just want to play some snippets from the march. They're saying stay involved. Stay involved. Decisions being made without our voice. You got to pay attention.
Shout out to
Dr. King one more time. Make some noise for Dr. King, y'all. Stephon Clark, Amon Aubrey, Tyreek Nichols, both of John, Sandra Bland. Come on now, Mike Brown. So many names. Dr. King was alive. That's what I'm defined for. Social justice, housing justice, food justice. These damn drop-off factories.
And some more snippets from the march that were important. Listen up, because it was being filmed. And you didn't hear this at the Republican caucus last night by Donald Trump, Nikki Haley, and Ron DeSantis.
60 years, we're commemorating what happened to John with you. Come on, Tracy Stafford. All right, it's a little quiet out there. Can we hear it again? Everybody say it. More is possible. More is possible. What are the signs we got out there?
More is possible. No reparations, no vote. It's coming up.
The other side, raise the side. I'm Tracy Stafford. And the president of the you. We got cut the check.
Cut the check.
What are the signs here we have out here?
No reparations, no vote. No reparations, no vote.
Negro slaves. No reparations, no vote.
No reparations, no vote. No reparations, no vote. No reparations, no vote.
It came as a joyous daybreak to end the long night of their captivity.
No reparations, no vote.
But 100 years later,
Do you hear the message?
the Negro still is not free.
No reparations, no vote.
100 years later, the life of the Negro is still sadly crippled by the manacles of segregation.
Listen to the message.
And the chains of discrimination. 100 years later,
Will always be the message.
the Negro lives on a lonely island of poverty.
Listen to the
In the
message.
midst of a vast ocean of material prosperity. 100 years later,
The Homestead Act. No reparations, no vote.
the Negro is still languished in the corners of American society and finds himself in exile in his own land. So we've come here today to dramatize a shameful condition.
No reparations, no vote.
Since we've come to our nation's capital to cash a check.
You're listening to the second reconstruction of
The
this nation.
architects of our republic wrote the magnificent words of the Constitution and the Declaration of Independence.
Listen up.
This is why we need a third
They were
reconstruction.
signing a promissory note to which every American was to fall down. This note was a promise that all men, yes, black men as well as white men, would be guaranteed the unalienable rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
No reparations, no vote.
It is obvious today
Listen,
that America has defaulted on this promissory note.
second reconstruction.
As our citizens of color are concerned.
But you're in the 21st century now.
Honoring
It's a new millennium of time.
nation,
We need a third
America
reconstruction.
has given the Negro people
Listen.
a bad check,
No reparations, no vote.
which has come back not insufficient
People's
funds.
campaign.
Cut the check.
We need a third reconstruction. Right now. You see the people that are running for president? You see how the government is working? We need a third reconstruction. Listen.
We refuse to believe
No reparations, no vote.
the votes of opportunity in this nation. So we've come to cash this check, a check that will give us a firm demand of freedom,
No reparations, no vote.
justice.
Praise God. Praise God, praise God, praise God. I just want to say that part of Big C Sports Podcast because you're not going to hear that at the Republican National Convention And I just want to say, you hear that on Big C Sports. Why didn't you hear it last night in Iowa? Dr. King, he was about equality, and we shall overcome. And the arc of the moral universe is long, but it bends toward justice. And the only people who've not gotten justice is just us. And why'd you hear that on Big C Sports Podcast, but not with the Republican convention last night? Have you not been entertained? Because we can't wait to watch Joel Embiid go up against the Joker tonight when the Suns take on, or the Philadelphia 76ers take on the Denver Nuggets. People are going to watch that, especially our black brethren. They want to see, man, is Joel Embiid or the Joker? Who's going to get the better of each other? And even our black brethren, they don't even talk about what Big C Sports just talked about. Because Dr. King, unlike the Golden Globes and the Oscars and the Academy Awards, he's trying to get black people paid. Well, why is that important to you, Big C? Can't we all just sing? Can't we just sing and sing songs? We can sing songs too. But our white brethren, if you listen to the beginning of Big C Sports, I played to you something that Dr. King has said. And he wasn't mincing words about it, because he said we come to get a check. And people need to know that he was serious about that. People got to know it's not just me. I know you want to watch the game. The games are important. But our society, Dr. King would have been 95 years old today. And I just played you and told you that Donald K. Tamaki, an attorney on the California Reparations Task Force, as a Japanese American, he already said that his family got paid from the internment camps. Why are black people being treated different? Oh, there you go again, Big C. Treat people the same. That's important. That's why Big C Sports is the #1 sports show in the universe. I talked to a financial planner today. She's been a financial planner, certified Series 7's licensed for 33 years. And I told her we're doing a workshop with some of the top attorneys in the state of California coming up this month. And I was able to tell her some things that she didn't even know about. Nothing wrong with that. We can all learn something. But I'm telling you, with what I say with Big C Sports, it's about the sports. I know my stuff. It's about the law. I know my stuff. It's about religion also. I know how to invoke God. God, oh my God, just had another epiphany. I was having some thoughts coming to my mind, and it was in my stomach, and I could feel it. And later, what I was feeling in my mind, it came to fruition today, within a few hours. It's been happening more and more as I've been praying more and asking God for. It ain't about talking to nobody. Quieting my mind and just being in prayer and asking God, God, you know what I need. Keep all enemies away from me. Don't let anyone deceive me. If they do, make sure that you have them get out! It doesn't matter what people say to you. I'm in touch with my spirit, and God's been proving that to me because there are things I've been praying on. They've been happening like a rose opening up. It just needs some sunshine and water. And God's been doing that for my life. And I had a pastor pray on me the other day. I didn't ask him to. He just did it. He said, Charlton, God's ascending your life. You're being pulled into another territory to expand your horizons. And he said, people are going to be pulling at you from all angles. And I said, Pastor, I feel that. He said, well, just stay on God's road. Just keep praising. You don't have to worry about people. God will weed people out that don't supposed to be there. So don't worry about people. Don't worry about saying the right thing. Don't worry about trying to put on a phony smile. Don't do any of that stuff. And God has been having people, God has been revealing things to me. People in private and personal and public situations, business situations. I just told you, I had someone from the task force that I talk about every show. I just had another epiphany. He got out of a car at a restaurant right in front of me. His son had a suit. I said, brother, that's a sharp suit. You look like you're running for president. He said, thank you, brother. Appreciate you. I said, dude, you do. Like, I would vote for you, man, just by the way you carry yourself. He said, oh, man, I appreciate you, man. And he came back out of the building about 2 minutes later, and he opened the door for Amos Brown on the California Reparations Task Force at a restaurant. He's about to tip the same collard greens that I was tearing up. How did God put me there? And it's happening in business also. I kid you not. Things have been popping into my mind with a strong sense of urgency. And then shortly after that, God brings that same person right across my phone. Or right across my face. It happens all the time. It's been happening a lot lately. because I've been just praying so hard. And when I stand near water, my prayers work better. I don't know what that means, but when it's raining or if I step my foot in water, or even if I take a shower, I take a shower once a week whether I need it or not. And so because my revelation has been happening stronger, I think I'm going to take a shower at least 2 times a week. Because they have a water drought in California. At the same time, I'm so grateful because I kid you not, and God is my spirit, I'm telling you, there are things I've been talking about that have been coming true. Name one sports podcaster in all the United States of the universe that talks about reparations as much as Big C Sports. That's been written up by the Associated Press. And then have a man that's on the task force get out of the car right in front of me as I was tearing up those collard greens. How did God line that up? I didn't know he was going to be there. God had him come across my path, and now he wants to be on my show. You got to give that some praise. I'm telling you, it's been happening like that more and more, but you give God the praise. I still want the $6 billion, and that's going to happen. I know it's going to be at least $1 billion for Big C Sports. I've been saying that Big C Sports is going to become a $1 billion entity. And now I'm about to be in a position where I'm so well connected, but I'm going to leave that. I'm just going to keep talking to God about it. No need to say anything to anybody. But I just want to say, I just want to say thank you, God. I'm doing your work. I want to thank Brother Aline for having me come to a convention. It was an awards ceremony with some Muslim brothers in Dimner Hills, California. Met some wonderful people. Wa assalamu alaikum. Alaikum salam. So I understand being a part of people who have their own faith, the Quran. They read from the Quran and prayed together. We broke bread together. There's a lot of wonderful things that have been happening in my life where I'm invited into different circles. Being invited into it. I hope that makes sense to you. There's some people very high up in law in the country that have access to the President of the United States and also the Attorneys General, as well as the governor. And was asked, is Charlton coming to the meeting? Isn't that something? I give God praise. It's not about name dropping. It's about things that have been saying and they've been manifesting. But you got to get negativity out of your life. If something's not good for you, get out! Don't hold on to things that are not good for you. And God's talking to me. And I thank God for that. Well, giving God the praise. I want to tell you so many great things in my life. And I'm going to get into some sports too. But the MLK holiday, I have to go overtime with Big C Sports because the Republicans wouldn't even acknowledge the man. They would not even acknowledge him. In fact, they're trying to erase black history. Governor DeSantis knows that. So does Donald Trump and Nikki Haley. They don't want to say anything about why slavery was ended. It's because of the Civil War. They say, oh, it's the economic issue. They want to talk about the guilt and how the government gave over 276 million acres of land to white people and even white Europeans. But you know what they told black people who worked this land for free from cradle to grave? They said, no! It's not for you! Pull yourself up by your bootstrap. And let's sing the Negro spiritual. What's the Negro spiritual? I don't even know what it is. But they were singing it for the rally. Singing, lift every voice and sing and tell the angels. And then you have Senator Bradford. He's signing. He's petitioning the court for reparations. He's not singing lift every voice and sing. I'm not knocking the song, but do it after you get the reparations, not before. One name Double O, PAC Committee for the National Black Wall Street Project sent me Executive Order 13985 that President Biden signed his first day in office. What is that, Big C? It's on further advancing racial equity and support for underserved communities through the federal government. That's called the White House. You think the Republicans talked about it last night? Nope. Senator Marco Rubio and Senator Rick Scott of Florida, they reintroduced the bill to Congress to restore Holocaust survivors' rights. They reintroduced it. That means it already existed. You don't reintroduce something that already existed. but they haven't done it for Black Americans yet. Why not? I thought you guys just wanted to watch the game, Big C. I thought if we just let you play touchdown, home run, 3-point play. Oh man, Willie, he's going all the way. I thought you guys just wanted to play sports. Isn't that what you tell your kids to do? Be the next professional athlete, not doctor, lawyer, politician. Don't you guys just care about who won the game? And light the beam, light the beam, light the beam. Isn't that all you guys care about? Because whenever I see you black guys on TV, you just shucking and jiving. Or you want to go to the Oscars or the Golden Globes and award white people for getting 10 jobs for every one job that a black person gets. And you guys are fine with that. Why would we think you want reparations but you never talk about what you want? When I wanted those collard greens last night, you know what I did? I went into Fixins and I said I would like to order 2 chicken wings with the waffle. And they got this butter, it's like jelly butter or something. It's so good, you could drink it. And I said also, they said, is there anything else you want, sir? I said, how about some collard greens? They said, you always order collard greens. I said, how do you know that? They said, because your orders pull up. I said, oh. But I had to ask for the collard greens. I could have gone there wanting collard. If collard greens were reparations, we would all have our reparations by now. I've rarely met a black man and woman that don't like collard greens in some form or fashion. I'm not being stereotypical. I don't meet a lot of white people that don't like bread in some form or fashion. But if collard greens were like reparations to our black brothers and sisters, members of the media, we'd never get them because we don't ask. We standing in line to watch the game. And when those Republicans had the caucus in Iowa last night, they said nothing about Dr. King and nothing about reparations. And you heard when Big C Sports opened the show, he talked about coming to get our check because we've been given a void check. You ever have someone give you a check that bounces? You ever someone write you a check and you go to deposit in the bank, they say there are insufficient funds. That's what happened to black Americans. So they said instead of giving black people the check, making good on the check, just give them some games. And they'll train their kids to play football, basketball, and baseball. My son's going to be the next professional athlete. And too afraid to talk about reparations. Something that's owed to you. Why would you not at least ask for something that's owed? It has your name on it. You ever go park your car in valet? And I just parked my car in valet, I don't know, about a week ago when I went down to the state capitol to meet with some senators. And they had been moved to a different location. But I parked my car in the garage. They asked to keep my keys. I said, why do you need my keys? They said, well, we're going to park your car in valet. I said, oh, you're in valet. I said, oh, that's right, I'm in valet. So I gave them my keys, and they gave me a claim ticket. You know, when I came back about 2 hours to get my car, you know what they said? They said, do you have your ticket? Do you have your claim ticket for your car? I said, why do I need a claim ticket? They said, because we want to give you what belongs to you. I said, oh. Well, isn't reparations the same thing when Dr. King said next time we come to Washington, we come to get our check? We coming to get our check. Descendants of Holocaust, they got their check. Oh, there you go again, Big C. Talk about other people. Yeah, you can Google it. Google Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017. Take your phone out now and Google it the same way you Google your favorite musician. Google Survivors Today Act of 2017. Ready, read. It says the Justice for Uncompensated Survivors Today Act of 2017 is United States legislation that requires the State Department to report to Congress on steps that 47 countries in Europe have taken to compensate Holocaust survivors and their heirs for assets seized by Nazi Germany and post-war communist governments. Why don't they do the same thing for descendants of child slavery? Because we're so busy standing for the kickoff and arguing about who's going to tear somebody down and how they got a job in Hollywood. Because the people in Congress, they say, well, those black folks, they never talk about reparations. They just talk about shucking and jiving, singing songs and dancing and tearing each other down. And here I am pleading with our brethren, if you're afraid to talk about reparations, but you're not afraid to order some collard greens at a restaurant, then you ain't black. Because our ancestries, they went through a lot of that stuff. They were beaten, they were raped, they were lynched, they were whipped on the back with a rope, they were castrated, they were sold off from plantation to plantation with impunity. What's impunity, Big C? Google it. And that happened to it. If you're a beautiful, intelligent black person in this country, most likely you have ancestry that was sold off and lynched and beaten and raped and castrated. On this land! Oh, you don't need to do no reparations. That was a long time ago. Well, you know the Homestead Act of 1862, that was a long time ago too. It gave white people over 276 million acres of land to develop the West Coast, part of the South, and the Midwest. Get your facts right. Big C, they also gave it to white Europeans. That's right. They also gave it to white Europeans. But they told black people, lift every voice and sing until the age. I mean, come on. And they didn't even say anything about Dr. King last night at the Reparations Task Force. I beg your pardon. Maybe that's a Freudian slip at the Iowa caucus, which mentioned nothing about reparations. But Big C does either lead, follow, or get out of the way. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. I just appreciate so many people, and Double O sent me the order. She's part of the PAC committee for the National Black Wall Street Project. Sent me an order from the United Nations that said that strong leadership and political will are crucial to ensure reparatory justice for people of African descent. I want to thank T-Mobile, proud sponsors of Big C Sports, America's largest 5G network. I want to thank PNC Private Bank, proud sponsors of Big C Sports podcast. And I really do appreciate that. So President Biden back studying reparations. And Freedman's Bank, you can Google Freedman's Bank. It was created by Congress, that same Congress that should be working on reparations as we are breathing. Are you breathing? My great granddaddy told me don't trust a woman that does not snore. Oh, come on, Big C. No, seriously, my great granddaddy, he said don't trust a woman that does not snore. If you got a woman that doesn't snore, well, why is she so quiet? Well, hold on, people. I heard them say the same thing about men. They told don't trust a man who doesn't snore. Because if his butt is snoring, you know where he is. But if he sleeps quiet, he might be at the clubs. If somebody don't snore, you got to keep an eye on them. And just like Freedman's Bank, if somebody don't pay you the check they owe you, you got to keep an eye on them too, don't you? I said, don't you? If somebody give you a bounce check, you got to go to them and say, this check bounced. So Freedman's Bank, they bounced a check to black Americans. It was chartered by United States Congress March 3rd, 1865. You can Google it. And they had 50 white people as trustees of the bank. It was set up by John W. Alford, a congressional minister, and Anson M. Sperry, a United States Army paymaster. They identified the need for black Americans to have a bank because they couldn't put the money in the white bank. You know, the land of the free, home of the brave. The white people said, no, we won't take your money. They take it, but they keep it. Even Freedman's Bank, you can put money into it, but you could not get a loan to buy a house, or a loan to start a business, or a loan to get an education. White people invested that money. And they stole the money! Yeah, reparations are due. Well, I just want to say, I thank everyone that got together and celebrated Dr. King's holiday. Really do appreciate that. And I want to talk to some of our other brethren, because you're afraid to talk about reparations, but you're not afraid to ask for some collard greens. Restaurant full of people. Almost everybody had collard greens on the plate and some chicken. But nobody talk about reparations. And to me, that's a shame. But I want to say, either lead, follow, get out of the way. NFL playoff wild card, we saw some crazy things happen. Mike Tomlin for the Pittsburgh Steelers says he'll be back to coach the Steelers next season. But the NFL playoffs, some winners and losers. How about those Cowboys? What's wrong with the Cowboys? The Lions, they held on to defeat the Rams And the Detroit Lions advanced for the first time in, I think, 32 years in the playoffs. That was a madhouse in Detroit. And the Philadelphia Eagles had their wings clipped by some Pirates. You can't trust. I thought an eagle was an endangered species, but those Pirates clipped them last night down in Tampa and beat the Philadelphia Eagles. The Kansas City Chiefs, they got over on the Miami Dolphins because a dolphin can't swim on his ice. That's why they stay in the water. Isn't that something? In the Houston Texans, they beat the Cleveland Browns. I'm glad I don't bet 800 gambler if you do. But at the same time, life is good. And you have the biggest victory on the first day of Super Wild Card Weekend. No one really would have thought that the Good Boys from Houston, C.J. Stroud, he was so good, didn't even finish the game with more than 9 minutes remaining in the fourth quarter. They took him out because Stroud was 16 of 21 for 274 yards and 3 touchdowns, no interceptions. And Houston beat Cleveland 45-14. That Good Boy was playing college football 2 years ago at Ohio State. And now he's as a rookie, amazing. The Texans defense was great. D'Amico Ryans got a job, and Joe Flacco maybe he is ready for Social Security benefits because he didn't play too well. But it's amazing how Texas really impressed. D'Amico Ryans got the job as the head coach, and he showed that he's more than ready for the task. I think Kansas City, with their win over the Miami Dolphins, that was kind of expected because I think it was minus 24 degrees in the cold. That's almost, they had helmets that were cracking to play in that type of weather, and you had touchdown maker. I mean, he obviously has to play better at times, but sometimes he wings it too much. Patrick Mahomes is a brilliant quarterback, but he has to go on the road to play the playoffs at Buffalo. For the first time in his career, he's going to be on the road during the playoff game outside of going to a Super Bowl. So that tells you how good Patrick Mahomes is. And they don't have Eric Bieniemy this year, so their offense sputtered at times. But the Miami Dolphins, obviously, you can't have a Dolphin play on the ice because it doesn't work out too good. But at the same time, we have some great games coming up. Dak Prescott and the Dallas Cowboys with Jordan Love. And what they say, what's Love got to do with it? Well, Love got a lot to do with it. He had a great game against the Dallas Cowboys, and many people were asking Jerry Jones, have you had enough? Do you want to maybe let go of McCarthy and bring in Jim Harbaugh, or maybe bring in another coach that has a different kind of coaching style? I don't know. They were 3 years in a row winners of 12 games for the Dallas Cowboys. Prescott did not have his best game, but the Packers, they stepped up and they played well. So much for the people in Green Bay that said you need to trade Jordan Love so Aaron Rodgers will be happy. Well, Aaron Rodgers got what he wanted. He got traded to New York City, and they get to watch the game. They get to watch the playoffs from home. But Love has not only a black man got his chance in Green Bay as he backed up Aaron Rodgers for about 4 years, and now he gets the chance to play, and he led them to the playoffs in his first year as a starter, where Rodgers didn't lead him to the playoffs in his last year as a starter. But there were people saying, get rid of Love. The media was all over him, tearing him up. But now that he's got the chance to do what Jim Brown said, gentlemen, I think if you put myself in the game, I could express myself a little better. So they put him in the game, and he expressed himself a little better. Congratulations to him. Green Bay is a good team, but now they're in Denver Hills, California, and the 49ers, they got to play hard because this team almost put 50 on the board against Dallas in Dallas. I don't think they can come to San Francisco and win in Denver Hills, but they're expecting rain in San Francisco over the weekend or Santa Clara. So you got to be careful of the Green Bay Packers coming to town. They have nothing to lose. They got nothing to lose. I think the 49ers will play a better game than the Cowboys played. And so they get a chance to take on the Green Bay Packers. And then in the NFC, you have Tampa going to Detroit. Detroit's going to win that game unless 800 Gambler shows up. The crowd is nuts. And Goff, he's been to a Super Bowl before, and he's able to beat a Super Bowl winning quarterback and Matthew Stafford with the Rams. Now he gets Baker Mayfield coming into Detroit. That place is off the hook. Imagine if they cheered as loud for reparations as they cheer for a football game. Reparations now! Reparations forever! They may just scare some of the citizens and say, wait a minute, Dr. King did say we come to get our check. But our black fans and our white fans too, they will cheer for the game, but they won't even talk about what's due, which is reparations. Shame on us. Like, who are they going to upset if they say, "Give me what's mine"? When I went to get my key out of the valet parking, I didn't get mad when they said, "Can you give us your receipt?" And I said, "Why you need a receipt?" We said, "Because we want to give you the right car. We want to give you your car." I said, "Oh, it belongs to you, so we got to get the receipt." What if anyone just came in and said, "Give me that car," and we gave it to him without the receipt? You'd be upset. You want to sue the parking garage. I said, "Yeah, you're right." So why are we upset to ask for what's ours? We already told you descendants of child of slavery are due reparations. Senate Bill 490, Senator Bradford put it into the legislature. It's asking for 12 different things, 12 different laws. Why are we afraid to ask for it? Shouldn't be afraid to ask for it. So the Chiefs are going to go and take on the Buffalo Bills in Buffalo, frigid Buffalo. And then you have the Baltimore Ravens. They're going to take on the Houston Texans. Would you believe what I'm going to tell you? The Houston Texans have a black quarterback that starts the game for them. The Baltimore Ravens have a black quarterback that starts the game for them. So there would be a black quarterback in the AFC Championship game. The Kansas City Chiefs, they have a black quarterback at Patrick Mahomes. The only white quarterback is Josh Allen out of Fireball, California, near Fresno. So that in the AFC playoffs, you have 3 black quarterbacks and 1 white one. There was a time a black man couldn't even get a job as a quarterback. They would say, "You got to play defensive back." And now they give him the opportunity. You got 4 black quarterbacks in the AFC Championship game. So my cynical friends say, "Well, that's why the NFL will have Buffalo win the AFC." And then in the NFC, the Green Bay Packers, they have a black quarterback. And Jordan Love, the 49ers have a white quarterback. And Brock Purdy. In the other game, Tampa Bay has a white quarterback, Baker Mayfield. And Detroit has a white quarterback, and Jared Goff. So if I can do the math on my hands, in the AFC, 3 of the 4 quarterbacks that are starting are black quarterbacks. Oh, why you bring that up, Big C? Because there's a term they wouldn't give black quarterbacks a chance, just like they won't talk about reparations, giving that a chance too. The same way they don't talk about reparations, there was a time they wouldn't allow black quarterbacks to even start. And now in the NFC, out of 4 teams, 2 have black quarterbacks. If that makes sense to you. Green Bay has a black quarterback. I beg your pardon, only 1 has a black quarterback. Green Bay against San Francisco, and then Jared Goff and Baker Mayfield, 2 white quarterbacks playing. So out of 8 teams, you got 4 black quarterbacks and 4 white quarterbacks. Oh, why does that matter, Big C? Can't we all just get along? The reason it matters, half of the quarterbacks in the NFL playoffs are black. But most of the quarterbacks in the NFL are white. It's hard to get the opportunity. They don't give us the same opportunity. And that's why I say reparations is just like sports. There's sometimes they don't want to even talk about it. But you realize the NFL is making more money than it's ever have. And black quarterbacks are at the top of the food chain when it comes to being paid and helping their teams advance. Imagine when reparations happens, so the person that's not a professional athlete or politician, they have a chance to get what's due to them. Like when I parked my car in the parking garage, they asked for my receipt before they gave me the keys to the car. We said, "We want to give you the car that belongs to you." Can't they do the same thing with reparations and get us some praise? They can do the same thing with reparations and get us some praise and not act like we don't deserve reparations. So no matter what the Republicans did or did not do last night, they didn't even talk about it. But they know what reparations to do for the descendants of child slavery. They know it, whether they talk about it or not. Why don't we as a country bring it up? Because I told you, Big C Sports is different. I want to be different, but I want to be factual and get that some praise. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you on every Big C Sports show, if you're going to drink, don't drive. If you're going to drive, don't drink. Because mothers against drunk drivers are mad, and fathers against drunk drivers are mad. It's one of the easiest things not to do. You could call Uber, you could call Lyft, you could walk it off, you could sleep it off, but don't let someone you love get behind the wheel of a car after they've been drinking and start driving the life you say may be your own or someone that you love. That's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, back by a popular demand, back in the day, there's a man known by the name of Drew Bodini Brown. He is known as Muhammad Ali's right-hand man. And he would always tell Ali, you float like a butterfly, you sting like a bee, rumble, young man, rumble. He said, with all you got to lose, how can you lose? Ali said, I'm so pretty, I can't possibly be beat. Because every time I hear Big C Sports, I think about reparations now, reparations forever. And then I float like a butterfly, and I sting like a bee, and I rumble, young man, rumble. My beautiful mother always says, there's never, ever an excuse for racism or domestic violence. No man, woman, or child should ever have to go through that garbage on their own. Nobody deserves the opportunity to go upside your head because they got mad. Call 911 when the police show up. People change. If that makes sense to you, that's my story, and I'm sticking with it. Well, as I always tell you, on every Big C Sports show, I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day. Well, hold on, Big C, you didn't honor President Abraham Lincoln. Well, that's right, because I'm so full of collard greens. I want to take the time to do what President Abraham Lincoln said we should all do as we come off the back nine of the Martin Luther King holiday. I love giving that praise, and let's join hands in singing with those old Negro, I'm telling you, those old Negro spirituals. When they say reparations now, reparations forever. Come on, you can do it better than that. I've heard you cheer louder at a game. What did President Abraham Lincoln tell Congress to do? He said, sign reparations now, sign reparations forever. Come on, y'all. I know you cheer louder at your local barbecue when you're looking for extra real. What did President Abraham Lincoln do? When I was tearing up those collard greens, he said reparations now, reparations forever. I thank you, I appreciate you, and I hope that you have a super fantastic day.